Welcome to Highly Controversial, where we talk about controversial issues that impact our daily lives. I'm your host, Jessica Gangitano. Today, I am joined by Emma, Jimmy, Autumn, and Jay, and we will be talking about the legalization of marijuana in the United States. To start off, let's talk about some of the potential benefits that legalizing marijuana could bring to the country. Emma, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, Jessica, I've been doing a lot of research on the health benefits of marijuana, and I find that there are a lot that we could use. For example, it can help treat some mental illnesses like depression and ADD and ADHD. I personally am ADD, so I've been taking all kinds of medications since I was a child, such as Ritalin and Adderall, and knowing that there's like another option is really great. Another thing that can help is it can help treat some diseases and help with some symptoms of others. For example, Dravet syndrome. There's a child, she's 5 years old, her name's Charlotte Fig, and her parents found that once they started her on medical marijuana, that her seizures went from 300 seizures a week to just one every 7 days. So there are a lot of benefits to medical marijuana.
Absolutely, thank you. And Jimmy, do you have any thoughts on this?
Everything you said I had to agree with. I mean, my expertise is not in the medical field, but it's funny that you bring that up, because if marijuana is not legal in all the states, how is alcohol? I mean, it's just killing another part of your body. Isn't that right? But I've been doing a lot of research on the economical standpoint of legalizing marijuana. And right now in Washington State, they're averaging about $2 million a day. That's only by selling the plant itself. That's not accessories. That's not anything like that goes with it. That's just the plant itself. So, I mean, Washington's getting that money. If you just think about the jobs it could create, the advertisement market, the farmers, potential graphic design for websites for small businesses. I mean, small businesses need all this promotion. That potentially gives more people more jobs. Even working in the stores, minimum wage market, that's honestly a benefit that this plant could give to America.
Yes, definitely with the monetary value. But going back to the health benefits, is there any other things that marijuana can help with?
Yes, there's a lot of things that marijuana has been shown to help with, such as cancer. California Pacific Medical Center in San Francisco has found that a certain chemical in marijuana can stop cancer cells by turning off a certain gene called ID1. Now, they've studied this not in a person, but they've taken breast cancer cells outside and they have seen what effects it has. And what they have found is that when treated with marijuana, that the ID1 cells decrease and were less aggressive when spreading. And so, when they were treating it, the cancer stayed in one place. It didn't continue to spread throughout the other healthy cells.
Thank you for that. Thanks, guys. There's a lot to think about with this perspective. We'll be right back after the break to hear from Autumn and Jay. Welcome back to Highly Controversial. Now we're going to change pace and discuss some of the negative effects that legalizing marijuana could have on our society with Autumn and Jay. Autumn, what are your thoughts on that?
Thanks, Jessica. So as Jimmy mentioned earlier, he said that, tobacco and alcohol were legal, so that, legalizing marijuana would be kind of a good thing. But if you look at the research, tobacco and alcohol are the two leading causes of preventable deaths and illnesses. So just because they're legal doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing.
And for some people, it will trigger a severe addiction. When you come off, you can feel paranoid, irritable, you can't sleep. I bet you're not sleeping at all when you try to stop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are doctors that can specialize, that know how to handle this. There's a medicine called Risperidol I use a lot of to help people get through this withdrawal period. And go to a program called Marijuana Anonymous, MA. You'll find a whole bunch of people just like you that have been through this, and they'll support you and refer you to people who know how to help people who've had this problem. It's not addictive for everybody. It's a strange drug that way. But for those people for whom it becomes addictive, when they try to stop, it is really, really tough. So good luck with that, okay?
Okay.
And
Marijuana
then if you
Anonymous.
just look at the long-term and short-term effects that marijuana has on the bodies of its users, I mean, it's insane almost. You know, people who use marijuana, they have short-term memory problems. They have panic, hallucinations, loss of personal identity, and just going into some of the long-term effects, research shows that users that started using marijuana when they were adolescents averaged an 8-point IQ drop. And that's not something that can be recovered once they reach adulthood. That IQ drop is long-term. And so, I mean, the effects that marijuana has on the health of its users is something that is just simply not okay.
Thank you, Autumn. Jay?
Well, thank you, Autumn. So back to the children. So a recent study in Colorado back in 2012 for kids ages 12 to 17 admittedly smoked marijuana came out to 10.47% out of all those kids ages 12 to 17. That's not even comparing the 26% of college students in Colorado who smoke marijuana. That makes them that ranks them third in the whole country. This study was conducted by Robert DuPont. He was the director for the National Institute on Drug Abuse. He also released a statement saying that teens who start off with alcohol and marijuana have also later gone on to harder drugs such as heroin. So that's why I think marijuana is also a gateway drug because you know, you start off with it, your kids, oh, I like marijuana, it tastes like it makes you feel really good. I don't like that and I need more of it, so you go on to harder drugs such as crack or, you know, the next thing you know you're addicted, and it's just, that's why I don't think it should be legalized.
Thank you. Autumn, do you believe it's a gateway drug?
Absolutely. I mean, there have been numerous studies that have shown that people who started off using marijuana have gone on to use those harder drugs that Jay was mentioning. But one of the main ones is heroin. And there was a study done at Yale that tested over 55,000 subjects. And of those subjects, they were addicted to prescription drugs, and over half of them had started off using marijuana in their teenage years. So I mean, using this marijuana, it primes your brain for later responses for these harder drugs. So absolutely, it's a gateway drug.
What are some, sorry, Jay.
Back to that. I mean, think about 20 years from now when we all have kids. I mean, would you want your child smoking marijuana at 12 years old, or even thinking about your child smoking heroin or shooting up heroin, whatever you do? I don't even know, because I don't believe in that stuff. I mean, would you want that?
What other effects do you believe it has on millennials or kids growing up smoking pot?
Well, honestly, I think it really throws them into that world where it's like, oh, it's okay to break the law, and I don't think they should be able to do that.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you both for some good counter arguments there. Stick around, and we'll be back to talk about the future of marijuana laws in the United States. Welcome back to Highly Controversial. Now we are going to have an open discussion about the current state of marijuana laws in the United States and where our experts see these policies going in the future. Autumn?
So if you're thinking about what the future of marijuana law should be, it only makes sense to study the states that have already legalized this marijuana. And so one of the states is Colorado, and just the results that have come in the recent research that I've done, there has been a substantive increase in the amount of DUI arrests dealing with marijuana. There's been a 57% increase in the amount of marijuana-related emergency visits. I mean, and going back to the millennials that Jay was talking about earlier, there have been drug-related school suspensions that have increased by 32% since marijuana has been legalized in Colorado. So I mean, these stats, they're hard science, they're reliable stats. So just simply studying these say that legalizing marijuana is simply not what should be done.
Emma?
I see your point, Autumn, and I agree that you need to, when it comes to marijuana, you need to handle it responsibly. And that's why I think medical marijuana should definitely be the first thing to be legalized. I mean, think of all the good it can do. Not only can it help with finding cures for certain diseases or helping treat symptoms, but it can help people in everyday lives.
Cannabis works on a system in our body called the endocannabinoid system, which is this amazing system that we're just starting to scratch the surface of. It's important for all sorts of things: pain, mood, anxiety, even immune function, reproductive function, blood vessel, heart. I mean, we're just figuring out. This is pharmacologically active, and it's not surprising to me at all that you can manipulate the system and get some benefits.
But some people have it hurts a lot when people go through their periods, and marijuana can really alleviate that. And it can also help protect people, like athletes, from concussions and trauma. When like football players get thrown to the ground hard, it can help protect their brain from even more damage. So I see where you are at with legalizing it fully, but I definitely think that medical marijuana should at least be legalized.
Let me stop you right there, though. I mean, what kind of regulations, though, are they going to be putting in place for the legalization of even medical marijuana? I don't think there's any way you can really regulate the dispense of the medical marijuana.
Well, that's just the thing. They regulate other prescription drugs. Why can't they do it that easy with marijuana? That's
well, because they'll still always the kids will always find a way to get it, and it just won't work.
That's the same with any drug, though, that's out there. People can get their hands on high painkillers from parents or from friends. They can get their hands on Adderall. Like
the logic between making the Vicodin a legally prescribed drug and making cannabis this demonized drug. Explain to me the difference.
Well, I have to agree with you. I mean, I have no disagreement with that. I mean, I don't have an issue with marijuana being used for certain pain things. I mean, of course it's safer than Vicodin.
Like, there's always going to be a risk. But if you educate your children on the risk of taking it, then there won't be as big of a risk for your child.
But that's a lot of the work on the parents, though. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, what's going to stop the kid from? The kid's going to do whatever they want.
maybe we should be more attention to educating the kids then. That would be a more, because you had brought up a while ago about the DARE program, how that was a major flop. If we have a program that would educate kids a lot better about the usage of it and the dangers of it, and when it can be used and when it can't, then that would be more beneficial to us than just.
So you're acknowledging that people are getting addicted to these other prescription drugs that are legal. So are you then saying that it's okay to then add add more gas to the fire with legalizing marijuana? You're acknowledging that there's an issue.
People get addicted to anything. People get addicted to eating food.
Absolutely, but that doesn't have the massive effects that marijuana has on your body.
Obesity doesn't?
We're talking about marijuana here.
I know, but I'm comparing it.
That comparison is invalid when we're talking about one thing that's not obesity.
Sorry, but I'm going to have to cut you off because that's all the time that we have for today. I would like to thank our panel of experts for sharing their insights with all of us, and of course, our viewers. We'll see you next time on Highly Controversial.